And thank you again. And now I'm excited to present Dr. Savas Parastatidis, an old friend of mine that who is currently with Amazon. And he was previously with Microsoft leading Cortana project. And Sava, please.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, everyone. I chose applied AI and personal digital assistance as a topic for this presentation, because I wanted to give you an idea of how we take AI technology and apply it in the context of a product. The Amazon started with a vision for Alexa using the Star Trek computer as an inspiration. Actually, those of us who work in the digital personal assistant space use sci-fi a lot as an inspiration, where we try to think about how technology might look like in years and decades to come, and then use that as our target as we try to bring features to customers. So Amazon has a very similar process. Internally, they start from the customer, the type of experience that they would like the customer to have in years to come, and then they work backwards from that to figure out what they need to do in order to get there, always working on behalf of the customer. So our brains have been wired to use speech as a form of communication between humans. So speech, I mean, the researchers argue on when humans started to develop speech. It's something between 600,000 to 200,000 years ago. Well, in contrast, technology and our interaction with technology, with computers, has only started to evolve in the last 100 years, or even less in the last few decades. So it's only natural to think that we're only at the very beginning of creating a natural way of interaction between humans and technology. But we are trying really hard. So the inspiration is, what can we do? Can we bring an experience to humans that is very similar to the Star Trek computer, where the only form of interaction is voice, where you can accomplish things, you can do things by just issuing commands, and the technology can interact with you through natural language. So this is just a brief history of human-computer interaction over the years. We do believe that in the last decade or so, we started moving. It's the very beginning in this new era of voice user interfaces, with Alexa really leading in this front. Mobile and touch-based computing today it's the predominant way that we interact with services and consume information through our mobile phones. But we do believe that there is an opportunity to reach even more people by embracing voice-based technologies, especially going into the future. So this is, again, a very, very high-level overview of the state of the art over the decades in voice-based interactions. In the 70s, we had systems like Harpy that had a vocabulary of about 1,000 words. Today, we have Alexa that does a really good, not great, but really good job of understanding humans, understanding what they're trying to do, what they want to do, and then connecting them with the services that can perform the task for them. In the last decade or so, we had systems like Siri, it's still around, Google Now, which is a Google Assistant, Cortana, my baby. I was there, was the first engineer on the project, a original prototype around 2011, that then became a product. Today, Cortana has migrated to be more of an enterprise assistant, so not so much for consumers. So about a year and a half ago, I moved to Alexa because I wanted to focus on technologies that reach hundreds of millions of users. So it is very important for a conversational system to, in order to build a quality conversation system, to focus on these areas. We need powerful machine learning algorithms. We need a lot of data that we need to process and massive computational power. And of course, then we have challenges like we heard earlier about how do we ensure that we process all of this data in a cost-effective manner, in an energy-efficient manner, in a privacy-preserving manner, and so on. And we'll discuss about a couple of those issues in a while. So Alexa started small. In 2014, there were 13 skills, the 13 different things that Alexa could do. There was only one device, this Echo device, the Echo device, through which you could interact with Alexa, and there was only one developer offering those skills. Think of skills as capabilities for Alexa, as applications for Alexa that the developer could build. But there was only one developer, and there was only one language. But the team, the company, invested, and they had aspirations to achieve so much more. So they invested, and they continue the investment today to build Alexa even more. And they realized from the very beginning that they needed to excel in these 5 areas. They needed to get these 5 areas really to do them really well. And so that was a wake word detection and the automatic speech recognition. That is the process of transforming the user speech to some text that can then be later processed by another system. They needed to understand language. So once the speech has been converted to text, is to understand what the user is trying to say, and then do something with that understanding. And then, of course, language generation and text to speech, and that is the system that it generates the response to the user, and then, of course, translating that response into speech that the user could listen to, and combine all of that into what we call the Alexa voice service. And so we started Alexa started from the realization that we needed to do this. We needed a lot of data. Alexa needed a lot of data in order to get the wake word detection right. There was a lot of innovation in microphone technology, in far field microphone technology, so that you don't have to go close to the device. When you are in your house, you can talk to the device from far away. And then, of course, so when it comes to automatic speech recognition, we knew from decades of research that we needed to aggregate so much more data in order to be really good at translating speech to text. So data is everywhere. So so the idea was that from the very beginning, even though the team started modest, and like I said, there was only one device, one developer, few skills, the promise that the company made, the Alexa organization made to the customer is that Alexa will continue to evolve, it will continue to grow, always for the benefit of the customer. And indeed, a few years later, now in 2020, there are more than 100,000 skills available to Alexa. There are you can find Alexa on more than 100,000 types of devices. There are hundreds of thousands of developers that produce skills for Alexa, and then there are you can find Alexa in 15 languages, with the language coverage continuing to grow. Now, we have hundreds of millions of customers using Alexa on a monthly basis. So we have billions of interactions every week with Alexa. So it is very, very critical for Alexa, for us to preserve customers' trust. To gain customers' trust and preserve it. So that means that we need to be extremely well at privacy, at controlling privacy, always giving the user's privacy when it comes to the user's data, always giving control to the user, and always be transparent about what we do and how we do things. So when it comes to privacy, the user is always can always request that Alexa deletes what she shared, and the user can ask for Alexa to delete everything that Alexa has recorded, from past interactions with the user, and of course, Alexa can always play back, what she shared, so that the customer knows what Alexa actually recorded. And then finally, we can at least try to explain how did Alexa reach some conclusion, how did she perform a task, and so on. So today, we have major, like I said, Alexa represents a huge investment for Amazon. I think it's public knowledge that the organization is close to 10,000 people. And the areas in which which we cover are just so many and diverse. But I wanted to just identify these 5 areas and then just talk briefly about one of them. So there is a lot of investment actually in my organization, the Alexa AI organization, on self-learning. So an example of self-learning is when you talk to your personal digital assistant, to Alexa, and you say something, and Alexa, for some reason, did not understand you very well. It's human. It's part of the way that we interact. When someone doesn't understand us, we try to immediately correct. We try to repeat what we said in order to help them understand. Well, now we have an AI technology that help us identify when the user is trying to correct what Alexa's understanding was, and so the next time the user repeats something like that, Alexa will do the right thing. So if you ask for Alexa to play a song, but there is also a movie with the same title or similar title, and Alexa does the wrong thing, and then you correct it by repeating and say, no, not this, but that. The next time you will ask, then Alexa will do the right thing. And then if sufficient number of people do that, then that becomes part of Alexa's general understanding for that particular situation. Natural interaction is key. We know today Alexa feels, and most of the personal digital assistants involved, including Cortana, Siri, and Google Assistant, those are the main ones. They all feel more like a request-response type of interaction with technology, with the personal assistant. You ask the personal assistant to do something, and it performs it. However, humans don't interact with one another this way. So a major area of investment and a primary area of interest for me personally is how do we make the interaction with the personal assistant more natural? How can we help humans interact with the personal assistant as if they were interacting with another human being? And so we invest a lot in this, and that relates to context awareness, which is another major area of investment. The example that I usually give to the teams with which I work is to say that as we move to physical manifestations of personal assistants, like perhaps putting a personal assistant in a robot or some other device that has a camera, and you want to tell it something like "go there" or "these are my keys," because you want to teach it something. That means that now the personal digital assistant has to combine the input from a sensor like the camera, in addition to the input from the microphone, so what the user said, and then reason from those two signals at the same time in order to perform the requested action. And also, like I do this all the time, I have many devices at my home, many Alexa devices at home. When it comes to context awareness, when I go into a room and I say to Alexa to turn on the lights, I don't say turn on the lights in my office or in the kitchen. I just say turn on the lights. Alexa is smart enough to understand where I am, understand my context, and does the right thing for me. So context awareness is very important. Alexa needs to be very knowledgeable, or any personal assistant needs to be very knowledgeable. Oh, and by the way, both for natural and context awareness, the application of AI technologies and the data that we need in order to train the model so that we can do the things that we want to do, it's just it's a tremendous amount of data. And when it comes to knowledge, of course, Alexa needs to be knowledgeable about what happens in the world, about the human knowledge in general, but also the recent news and what is happening in the areas of interest for the particular user. Especially with the COVID situation, one of the things that our users started doing more than they used to do was listening to news, getting information related to the pandemic, and so on. We saw a big increase into how users, our customers, started consuming news and information while they were staying at home. And then finally, and that's the area that I would like to spend some more time, was that we want to make Alexa more conversational. That actually has that really ties with how natural we want the personal assistant to be, and it's an area in which I spend a lot of time. So last year we announced Alexa Conversations. This year we released Alexa Conversations to our developers, and as of yesterday, I believe it's now publicly available to everyone who wants to use the technology in order to develop a new skill for Alexa. So this is our attempt to really democratize AI technologies for building new conversational experiences for Alexa. So now a developer does not need to know how to use advanced AI techniques in order to sustain a dialogue with their customer. So we have packaged the technology such a way so that developers can build only with few lines of dialogue samples to build a complete skill that can do things for the customer. So what developers do is they give a number of dialogue samples. Like with text, they describe this is what the user says, this is what the skill replies, this is the action that the skill needs to perform in order to move the dialogue forward. And so the developer has to provide 10, 50 of those dialogues, depending on the complexity of the conversation. And we will take care of the rest. So what we do is we take these sample dialogues, we follow a simulation process where effectively we play both the role of a customer and an agent, and we have them talk with one another in order to expand the number of variations of dialogues from the few tens that the developer gave us to hundreds of thousands of dialogues. Those variations will then be used for a machine learning process that will train the actual dialogue management policy that will be deployed into our infrastructure on behalf of the developer. And so the developer doesn't have to worry about any of this. And this allows us to bring in technologies like transfer learning, integration with knowledge, context awareness. It allows us to do multi-turn context tracking. We can do all of those things on behalf of the developer. So the developer doesn't have to do this. That is a tremendous value to our developers, and our hope is that developers will start building more interesting and more complex skills for Alexa. At runtime, the flow goes like this: the user says something, we maintain dialogue history, we add what the user said in the dialogue history, we host the trained model in our inference engines in the cloud, we make a prediction about what should happen next, and then we repeat the cycle. And like I said, these are the main areas of emphasis for us, and we need to get better in all of those. Our hope is that by year 2025, Alexa will be everywhere on every device, that you can think of. So no matter where you are, not just at home, no matter where you are, you will be able to access Alexa. And that is a huge challenge for us, and we're working hard towards that goal. So there is a trajectory. So we are trying to get to a point where we can make intelligent decisions on behalf of the user by applying AI technologies, by applying the data that we have, and we gather in order to improve the experience on behalf of our customers. And our goal is to, at some point, reach a point where the digital assistant can actually reason about the information, not just blindly follow blindly follow the training that we supervise, and then at some point have autonomy. Of course, there is no time frame. It's going to be foolish of me to give you a concrete time frame when we can achieve those. There are other areas that are actually quite important for us. We give a lot of emphasis on making sure that the AI technologies that we deliver for our customers are ethical, that, like I said, we want to democratize the use of AI, that are personal, that work on behalf of our users, and very importantly, that emotional intelligence. So we're taking steps towards that. So, for example, Alexa has now partnered with the National Science Foundation in the US to support research and advance the state of the art on what ethical AI means. We have a prize competition that has been a prize for a lot of money. University teams have participated over the last few years to advance the state of the art in casual conversation between an agent and a human. Now, in the third year of the prize competition, we're giving a lot of emphasis on emotional intelligence, because we do want the personal assistant to show empathy, to react and to the user's emotions, emotional state, but also to deliver information in a way that matches the user's personality and their emotional state. And so, again, lots of work, lots of research to do there, and lots of interesting challenges for the application of AI in this particular space. As we say at Amazon, it's still day one, which means that we still just scratching the surface of what is possible and what we can do moving forward. And with that, again, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to this very interesting event. And yeah, I think we are ready to accept questions.
Yeah, it has been our pleasure to host you and Konstantinos. And yeah, we're going.